Hey, I'm Isha. I'm in my 30s and I honestly feel like my life is a complete failure so far. I don't own my own home. I haven't even finished high school yet, which is really embarrassing to say. I am working on it. I've been going back to high school starting last year, slowly getting my credits, and I am very, very close to finishing. I actually do have all my compulsory credits that I need in order to graduate, so I technically could go and get, well, not to graduate, sorry, but in order to go to college. So I technically could go to college if I wanted to right now. I just don't really have the money to be able to afford to, and also just I have no idea what I would actually want to go to college for, which is pretty sad at this point in my life. I should probably have some sort of an idea. I also struggle with my weight, as you can probably see. I am on a weight loss journey right now. I've been kind of filming and documenting it slowly over the last year and a half. And since I started that, I have lost around 20 pounds, but I have lost 40 pounds in total since I started losing weight. I also battle mental health issues, which I think a lot of people do these days, especially considering the kind of life that I had growing up and never really getting proper care for it back then. It's just kind of slowly added on over the years where I haven't been able to figure out how to deal with a lot of the issues that I had from my childhood, and because of that it has affected my adulthood until I finally started kind of getting help for it, which I am still in the process of doing right now. And I'm also an unmarried mother, which I know a lot of people aren't married, but being married before I became a mom was a huge goal of mine, and unfortunately that didn't happen. I am with the father of my child. We've been together since obviously before I got pregnant. But yeah, we've always been together, but yeah, we're not married, and I would really like to be, and yeah, it just sucks. I'm just nowhere close to where I want to be or where I had wanted to be like years ago when I thought about where I would be when I was in my 30s. This is not it, and I think I'm the only one I can really blame. So this video is for anyone who may be in the same place, and maybe if you're younger or back when I was younger in like my early 20s, late teens, and you're feeling stuck or you're letting life pass you by and convincing yourself that you'll get to it eventually, like, okay, but maybe get to it now. I really mean it. Start now. I take accountability for my choices. I have been aware that I have had issues and problems for a very, very long time. And honestly, I chose to just bury my head in the sand because it was easier than facing things and actually putting the work in to achieve those things. And I was struggling a lot with just being afraid. I was afraid to actually put any effort into things that I actually wanted from life because I was so scared that one, I wouldn't get it, and two, if I did get it, I would lose it. So I chose just not to do it, which is honestly just worse in a lot of ways. I just let fear and anger and resentment completely rule my life, and it ruined a lot of my life. Even now, I struggle to make peace with my childhood because I think that, like, looking back, a lot of what happened in my childhood led to a lot of the decisions and hardships of my young adulthood and adulthood. Obviously, there was a certain point where it became my responsibility though, but I know that I can't dwell on the past. It doesn't do me any good. It hasn't done me any good. The past can't be changed, and only how I move forward really matters at this point. I have to keep telling myself that and convincing myself that in order to just keep going. I was raised by a single mom. We actually had to escape my abusive father when I was really, really young. And it had a huge impact on our childhood and the way we grew up and the way that my mom raised us. I think she kind of had to just take a lot on really suddenly. Very, very young. She had her first child at 22. She had her last child at 25. She was a single mom with 3 kids, and unfortunately, with the cards that were dealt, life wasn't the greatest. We lived in a lot of chaos and instability, and we never had any structure or routine. We moved a lot. Like, we went to 5 different elementary schools within 8 years. I was basically changing schools every 2 years, and I would change in like the middle of the school year. So it made transitioning to a new school that much harder because you might be in one area of a lesson in a subject at one school, and then suddenly you go to another school and they've already done that subject that you were only just starting to learn, or they've moved on from a subject and they're doing that subject that you've already learned. Either way, it was always chaotic, and I was just always behind in school, and I lost my confidence in school at a very, very young age. And to be honest, there was never very much expectation put on us when it came to school. Like, our homework was never really checked or asked about, And when it came to like getting grades, it was always just like, please just pass. All I care is that you pass. There was never much expectation for us to kind of like reach for anything higher than just the absolute bare minimum. And that kind of mentality followed me throughout my entire life. Like I've never reached for anything but the bare minimum. And honestly, that is just like the saddest thing to do. When it came to post-secondary education, that was like a complete joke. It was, yeah, my mom used to always say that she had no expectations of us going to college or university, especially university, but we couldn't afford it anyways, right? So in her mind, it was just like, no, don't do that because I can't put the money out for 3 kids to go to college or university. But I don't know what she thought we were going to do after we graduated high school. Like, what were we going to do for a career? What were we going to do for our adult lives? I don't get it. When I was 20, me and my younger sister, we moved out and we got our own apartment, which was honestly, it was great. I was still not at a great place in my life. We lived in a mess a lot of the time, and mostly that was because of me. I was very, very depressed and extremely anxious at that point in my life. And it showed in our apartment and the way that we lived, unfortunately. But my mom was really, really happy when we moved out, and she kept going on about how she was finally going to get to live her 20s that she never got to live because she had to raise 3 kids in her early 20s, which I mean, I understand, but I think that there are certain things that maybe you don't tell your kids, like maybe don't make your kids feel guilty for being alive or the fact that you had to raise them. And I'm saying this now as a mother myself, because being a mom myself, I look at my daughter and I mean, I didn't live the 20s that I wanted to live, but that was my decision. And I became a mom in my late 20s, and no, it wasn't a planned pregnancy, but I still, like, that's still my decision, you know what I mean? And I cannot fathom ever making or confiding in my child that I didn't get to live a certain part of my life because I was a mom. Like, that just doesn't seem right to me. In my 20s, I really should have started taking responsibility for my life and for my choices, because at that point, I was an adult. And no, like, the part of my brain wasn't fully developed yet, but like, I was an adult, and I knew that where I was in my life at that point, I wasn't gonna go very far, but I just kept kind of making the same mistakes and choices over and over again, choosing not to do anything, choosing to be paralyzed by fear. And it got me nowhere. It was the same thing over and over again. And of course, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't work to get there. At that point, I had no social life, which I mean, I never really had. I stopped having a social life when I was around 10 years old, sadly. The social anxiety and the moving and the trying to make new friends, it just became harder and harder for me. I had no hobbies that I actively pursued. I was extremely into music. I still am. I would sing and I would write songs and played guitar, not very well. I've never really got good at playing guitar because I never practiced. But I was really, really into music, and I had a dream of wanting to become like a singer. And I don't know if I wanted to become a famous singer. I mean, I think at one point I did. And I've gotten to a point now in my life where I'm like, okay, you know what? I want to actually focus and put some energy into that, because it's always been a passion of mine. I know that I'm not going to go very far with it, and I'm okay with that at this point in my life, but that doesn't mean that I can't still write songs and sing and share them with people and just kind of let it go where it goes and not have any expectation, because I know it's not going to go anywhere, but it's already not gone anywhere because I haven't put any effort into it. So I owe it to myself to at least try at something that makes me happy. Yeah, instead of doing anything with my youth, I spent time just angry and bitter and resentful and absolutely trapped in my anxiety. And really, I chose victimhood because it was easier than doing the hard work. And I don't think I actively did that, but when I look back, it's like, there's really no other way that you can kind of take that and explain that. And it's really embarrassing to say that out loud. At 27 years old, I became a mom. Pregnancy was a really, really bad time in my life. I was at a really low point in my life. I didn't even have a real home to live in. I was kind of in between homes, between like somewhat being at my mom's and somewhat being at my boyfriend's. And then for a little while I was in a homeless shelter while I was pregnant. That was a whole other story, and that was just craziness. When I became a mom, I mean, thankfully by the time I actually had the baby, I was living stably with my boyfriend. But by the time I became a mom, life kind of just caught up with me in the worst ways. It was like all my bad decisions finally were meeting me at the door, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know what to do. Suddenly I had this baby to take care of and I was a complete mess. I was not a fully functioning adult and I was just in survival mode all the time. It took me almost completely breaking up my family in order to finally turn the light on and see the mess that I had made in my life. And I realized pretty quickly, and I think I've always known this, but I was the obstacle in my life. And I finally had to confront that. My boyfriend, bless him, was the one that really pushed me all the time to try and like get me to go to therapy, to stop kind of using my past and my childhood as an excuse why I wasn't anywhere in my life. He didn't excuse my excuses. And his tough love is what pushed me to finally take accountability for my own choices. Almost losing my family was a huge wake-up call. A year and a half ago, I finally started therapy. And I had to kind of break down my entire childhood and my early adulthood to try and figure out why I was where I was at this point in my life. And doing that, it made me really kind of like get further upset with my childhood. But I knew that I couldn't just keep dwelling on that and using that as an excuse. And I had to try and use that as a motivation to change my life going forward. I honestly have so much that I need to work on and so much that I need to accomplish that I have not accomplished yet, that I probably should have given the age that I am. I'm in my early 30s. I just turned 32. I think I already mentioned that. And if I'm being honest, I am still scared. But I think I'm more afraid of not putting the work in and not changing, because where I am right now, I don't want to wake up 5 years from now and be in the same place, still saying the same thing, still knowing that I need to change. Choosing failure is not noble, and change requires effort. And I know that I need to really put that effort in. I'm choosing to move forward, take ownership, and stop letting fear rule my life. Don't be like me. If you're young, start now. Do not waste your time, because you don't get it back. And if you are someone who's in a similar position as me, just know that it's not too late. We've wasted enough time, but we don't have to waste what's left. And no, maybe the vision that we had for our futures isn't going to be what we wanted it to be, but it could be a lot better than what it would be if we just keep doing the same thing. I'm speaking mostly to myself because I have no idea if anybody else is in the same position as me right now. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye.
I fell back down again, but I will pick myself up. I hear that sound